Hi, this is Rizwan, and you're watching the Indian Weekender at 5. The big news and headlines from today are: in a move that can bring certainty for both employers and temporary migrant workers, the immigration minister today has announced that work visas of all such workers who are currently in New Zealand and their visas due to expire before end of 2020 will be extended by another 6 months. About 16,500 workers who are currently in New Zealand with their visas due to expire before the end of this year will be benefited from this latest government decision. The minister has also announced a change in stand down period for low skilled workers that currently requires them to leave the country for 12 months before embarking on a new work visa, allowing them to stay for an additional 6 months in the country before leaving the country for the stand down period. This means lower paid workers on temporary work visas have to leave the New Zealand for 12 months after holding a work visa for 3 consecutive years before they can apply for another low skilled visa. Read the full story on our website. The government and Air New Zealand have agreed to manage bookings to ensure New Zealanders arriving home can be safely placed in a managed isolation or quarantine facility. Air New Zealand has agreed to put a temporary hold on new bookings in the short term, as well as looking at aligning daily arrivals with the capacity available at managed isolation facilities. People who have already booked their flights with Air New Zealand will still be able to enter New Zealand subject to availability of quarantine space. Housing Minister Megan Wood said the government has seen similar moves in Australia, where passenger numbers into Sydney have been limited following suspension of flights into Melbourne because of the surge of COVID-19 cases in Victoria. They too are having to manage the flow of people into the country to match availability of managed isolation beds. New Zealand currently has 6,000 people in 28 managed isolation facilities, and the government is scaling up more spaces all the time, but keeping in mind that it needs to do safely and new facilities need to be watertight before they are opened. Till date, over 26,400 people have been through managed isolation and quarantine in New Zealand since March 26th. New Zealand cricket has put all rumours to rest that has been floating on social media and reported overseas that it will not be hosting the Indian Premier League IPL 2020 in New Zealand. Earlier today, reports emerged on social media quoting several overseas based Indian media outlets such as the Times of India, Hindustan Times, that New Zealand has offered to host the IPL 2020, which is being planned to be held in September and November this year. A spokesperson from New Zealand Cricket confirmed to the Indian Weekender that New Zealand would not be in a position to host IPL, even if were asked to, which they haven't been. The spokesperson further added that the dates and New Zealand Cricket's commitment to honouring its future tours program means the timing would not allow this to happen. The 13th IPL T20 cricket tournament was initially scheduled to commence on 29th March this year, but was suspended until 15th April and subsequently to 3rd May due to global COVID-19 pandemic. As per reports, the postponement of the T20 World Cup scheduled in Australia in November is imminent, and BCCI has identified that window to host its cash-rich tournament during that time, but overseas. So far, UAE and Sri Lanka has offered to host the tournament, but reports of New Zealand making such offer has been put down to rest. Health Minister Chris Hipkins has announced 2 new cases of COVID-19 today. The new cases are a woman in her 20s and a woman in her 30s, both from the same family, who arrived on 2nd July from Afghanistan and were tested positive on day 3 of their arrival. Both women were staying at Sudima Hotel in Christchurch. There have been no reports of community transmission in the country, and one person who was in hospital has now been discharged after making full recovery. A total of 2 recoveries have been reported in the last 24 hours, and in addition to 2 confirmed cases today, the total active cases in New Zealand is 22. The number of confirmed cases in the country is 1,186 as reported to WHO. So these were the top news and headlines for today. For more updates, visit our website iwk.co.nz. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back tomorrow on Indian Weekender at 5. Till then, drive safe and have a good night.